here it is. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Outspoken. I'm Dan Sileo, and it is Super Bowl Sunday. Is there any better phrase than that in the world of sports and American sports? Super Bowl 60. Patriots versus the Seahawks. This is the climax of what has been a great 2025 NFL year. This is what it all comes down to. The Vince Lombardi Trophy between these two spectacular football teams that have gone on this iconic journey with their playoff games that they have won. It has been one of the best runs in all of football. There's no doubt about it. These two football teams getting ready for this game this afternoon. You first and foremost got to start it off with the storyline really going into this game, and that's the New England Patriots and how far they have come. It's a football team last year that won 4 football games. And here they are on the cusp of potentially getting back to being another dynasty. Is this the beginning? I mean, Drake May, and you're going to have Stephon Diggs. You're going to have Hunter Henry. All of these guys in this football game are going to be instrumental in the fact of whether or not they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line going into this football game is one of the suspect areas. But get this. The quarterback, one of the youngest quarterbacks, second all-time to Dan Marino in this football game. This is going to be a football game that's going to come down, no question, I think, on how well Drake May plays. Can he keep time of possession? And how much is he going to be able to use his wheels in this ball game? They're going to have to establish a running attack if they're going to be able to control Seattle's defense. You want to keep Seattle's defense on that side of the ball because they're the king of getting 3 and outs. One of the best units. Then you have Sam Darnold. The storyline going into this Super Bowl has to be the quarterback story. A guy who has really been thrown out of a couple places like the Jets, like Carolina, like he goes to San Francisco. If you remember right, Kyle Shanahan even said when he had him in the building there, he goes, "This dude can play, man." Goes to Minnesota. Everyone thought he was going to turn into a pumpkin when he brought that Vikings team to a 14-3 record, right? What happens? They move off him. They thought it was more about the system in Minneapolis. He goes to Seattle with Mike McDonald. And Sam Darnold just absolutely turns that franchise into the NFC champions. And now he is just 60 minutes away from being a Super Bowl champion. Here's something that's even more remarkable. Do you know that Sam Darnold is the first Southern California quarterback, USC quarterback, to start in a Super Bowl? It's incredible. I mean, all the great players that have come out of USC, he's the guy. And out of that 2018 class, he's the guy that is starting in a Super Bowl with all those quarterbacks that were in that Baker Mayfield draft. It's incredible on what we're going to watch today. JSN, what can you say? This kid coming out of Ohio State, everyone thought he was going to be like one of the elite wide receivers in the National Football League. Nobody thought that this guy was going to take over the game. The way that they move around and the way they move him around. Clint Kubiak, one of the reasons that he's going to become the Raiders head coach is because of the versatility that he has shown with JSN. JSN has done a remarkable, they really don't have a lot of superstar weapons on that side of the ball. They just have a spectacular offensive line. This will be the key in this game because if Seattle can maintain the line of scrimmage, I think going into this football game, the key is the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. And this is where I think Seattle has the edge. I think they got a better offensive line, and I do think they got the better front seven. They're real good in the secondary. Now, is this the Legion of Boom? I don't think so, but this is one whale of a defensive football team. Then you go into what the management has done by getting these two football teams here. Take a look at what Seattle has done. John Schneider, the outstanding general manager of the football team, has retooled this team. He's coming out of the Pete Carroll era, right? The Russell Wilson era. It's almost a little bit smaller of a version to what the Patriots are coming out of with Brady and Belichick. Think about Seattle here, okay? Like we said, there's no doubt they both are in the same position, but because of great management, they have been able to retool their football team, get great coaches in there, and also great assistant coaches. Plus, they've been able to hit when it comes to their personnel. I mean, John Schneider, as I said, one of the best general managers, already has a Super Bowl on his resume. Then you go over to the other side and you see Elliott Wolf. Elliott Wolf has been put in that position. One of the things that I thought really hurt that football organization was when Nick Caserio left the front office. And Nick Caserio ended up going down to Houston. Nick Caserio, folks, he is one of the best general managers. He's a multi-time Super Bowl champion general manager. Look at all the great personnel that they put in there. They come out of Scott Pioli. Scott Pioli was put in that place as a general manager. You had Mike Lombardi also. These are really good personnel people. Caserio leaves and he goes to Houston. What happens? The personnel in New England fell off at the end of the Belichick run. Well, look at Houston Texans now. Look at the way the defense was told. That's Nick Caserio. Now they have a guy, Ron Wolf's kid, Elliott Wolf, and my friend and former teammate, Alonzo Highsmith, who was an executive next to Elliott Wolf, have put really great people into that organization. I think getting Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles was incredible. They were able to use him all up and down the line of scrimmage. They can use him as a 3 technique, 5 technique, 7, put him in a wide 9, slide him all up and down that line, and that all goes to this man right here, Mike Vrabel. You know, both these coaches, you would say that these two football teams take on the identity of their coaches. This is why you have a very physical football game, I think, this afternoon. Now, if it's a low-scoring football game, I think this favors the New England Patriots. If this is a high-scoring football game, I think Seattle can end up really beating the Patriots by double digits. The Patriots cannot let this game get out of hand, and the Patriots cannot get in a back-and-forth game because I just don't think that they have the personnel offensively on that side of the football. I think Hunter Henry's going to have to be a key factor for New England on being able to keep that in 3rd and short. Here's a key in the football game, in my opinion. Keep an eye on this number, and keep an eye on 3rd and 3 and outs. I'll tell you this right here. Whoever wins 1st and 2nd down is going to win this football game. 3rd and short, they have to be on the Patriot side on this. 3rd and short. Sam Darnold can throw you out of trouble. Sam Darnold's a quarterback that's able, and by the way, Clint Kubiak trusts him. Will you see Josh McDaniels, who won the assistant coach of the year award, which I thought was awesome at the NFL honors? I think he's one of the top offensive assistant in all the NFL. There is no coincidence, folks, that one of the most important hires that Mike Vrabel made was going and getting Josh McDaniels. I mean, if you close your eyes for a second and you open them, you start to see the beginnings of Tom Brady. And I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady, but if you remember right, in the early part of that dynasty in New England, what was winning football games? Adam Vinatieri was winning games, and also that defense was winning games. Brady started coming on more and more and more, and there was a 10-year gap in the middle of that dynasty. So he came on more and more, and at the end of that dynasty, Brady was the player that you saw when he went to Tampa. That was all under the schooling of guys like Bill O'Brien and also Josh McDaniels. The great coaching that they had around Brady, you're seeing that same being implemented, in my opinion, with Drake May. We saw Drake May come out of North Carolina, and we thought Drake May was going to be a spectacular player. But again, I think this is going to be all quarterbacks today. Make no mistake about it, friends. Our good friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America, for a reason. It's because they win. Hey, there's a family that was down in Pennsylvania that was initially offered $650K. They ended up getting $26 million in a settlement. Or how about the family in Florida that was initially offered $350,000? They ended up getting $12 million. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FORthepeople/big sales.com 529. Do me a favor. Make sure you check out our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. We are going to talk with our friend Adam Kaplan, and we will get his thoughts on Super Bowl 60 right here on SportsGrid.
He completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields, because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying
Right?
that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on Kraft.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And one of the most plugged-in guys when it comes to the Super Bowl and when it comes to pro football is our friend Adam Kaplan. Now, he joins us right now. Is there any better phrase in sports than Super Bowl Sunday, Adam?
Nothing. Oh, man, for those of us who like to do the what I call fantasy props, it's the one time I look at that stuff hard. You know, I had hosted a show on Sirius XM Fantasy, myself and John Hansen, for around 20 years, and man, we would hit those props hard. And this is a good day for that. College basketball, as you know, Dan. In fact, a lot of the odds makers will take the NBA players and pair them up with NFL players for the Super Bowl. And you know what? And the beauty of it is, Dan, we think, and I know we're going to break this down. I really look forward to it. There's a lot that we know, but as I've learned in this business, there's things that you can't plan for. And I'll go inside over 2 segments here. My conversation with Brian Hoyer, Super Bowl winning backup quarterback, that is, he told me a story which I still cannot believe. It's one of these, like, how the heck did I not know that? But yeah, it's always a fun week.
It absolutely is. All right, well, let's start breaking it down now. I mean, how do you see this game playing out? You know, everyone's on Seattle right now. The money's all over there on Seattle. How do you see this breaking out here? Is this going to be high scoring, low scoring? Who do you think wins this Super Bowl?
All right, so on Game Time Decisions on Friday, I think it was on Friday with Kevin Walsh, I said, look, right now my lean would be to Seattle. They're clearly the better football team. But as I gathered information over the last 48 hours, I did not realize that so few favorites over the last 20 years of 4 points or more have covered. They just don't. It for some reason, and my own line, Dan, was about 4.5, and it's now at 4.5. But so few of them cover. Don't forget, the Eagles were actually an underdog last year. They shouldn't have been, but they were an underdog in that blowout win. So I've gone back and forth on this one. I do believe it's going to be closer than people think. I do believe that Seattle will win the game, but it's going to be tighter than I thought with the information I've gathered. We'll get into breaking it down even more, but I think it's a 3 or 4 point game. And if I happen to be betting on this one, I certainly wouldn't give up the points. 4.5 is a lot. And this should be a very tight game. And I heard you before I came on here. The defenses should dominate this game.
Absolutely. All right, JSN, how do you think Clint Kubiak uses him? Because one thing that I've noticed, Adam, they move him all around. I mean, they move him to the Y, the Z, they put him in the slot. How do you think he'll be effective against that Patriots defense? Because, I mean, he is their key to that offense moving.
Not that he's Antonio Brown, who is certainly a borderline Hall of Famer. Let's leave the off-the-field stuff to the side here. he's got a little bit of Antonio Brown. And what do I mean by that? It's based on kind of what you just mentioned. So I remember talking to Paul Gunther, the former Raiders defense coordinator, also the Bengals defense coordinator, about Antonio Brown. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but you simply, in and out of his breaks, you had no idea where he's going to go. And that's the thing with JSN. You just talked about it. He'll play inside, he'll play the Z position, which is the move, a little bit of the X, but he's more of a Z on what your point is. The Z receiver is called the move receiver. And he could still win on the outside, but he's much better when they reduce JSN. When they move, it's kind of what Sean McVay does for Puka Nacua to win. Puka Nacua is not really an outside receiver. He might look like he's outside, but McVay reduces him. He moves him inside right before the snap. And he is impossible JSN to cover. Now, what will the Patriots do? The question is how much man coverage. Do they want to single him up? How are they going to? It's I don't think it's quite like this. Well, if you stop JSN, there's no way that Seattle will win. I don't necessarily agree with that, but obviously it makes it much tighter. But they've got to figure out a way just to slow him down. You're not going to stop JSN, but you have to get physical with him. He's built well. He's not the tallest guy in the world, Dan, but you've got to get physical with him. Why don't teams do that? You play football at a very high level. Well, I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah, I think they're afraid that, he's so good out of the break, Adam, that he's good with his hands. And he's like you said, he's not really a big dude, but he's a skilled dude, and he knows how to get out really off the line of scrimmage well. I think he handles the secondary guys well. So he's a little more physical than you think. And I think that really frightens the D coordinators, because what they don't want is a pitch and throw. And so I think they're more concerned about him when he's on the line, and that's why they put him in the slot.
And honestly, A.J. Barner's a good player, but you're really not worried about anyone else. And remember, on third down, Zach Charbonnet won't be there. He tore his ACL. And Kenneth Walker, by the way, has come alive. It's not like he's going to share the ball now, because if you remember, Charbonnet, for people who play fantasy, he was bogarting touchdowns because they would take Walker out within the 5 because Charbonnet is a bigger back. And Charbonnet is also better in pass protection. So that is a slight concern of mine coming into this game, not having Charbonnet. But when it comes down to it, you don't want to see the Patriots fall far behind, because that's when they start pressing. They're clearly the underdog. There's no the lines makers have this line right. I don't always agree with the lines makers. Obviously, they missed badly last year. The Eagles absolutely should not have been an underdog because the matchup favored them. But in this game, it's absolutely right. But again, I believe it's going to be closer than people think.
Is there a role for Cooper Kupp in this game? What do you think the role is going to be for him in this ball game? Does he have a role? I saw 29.4 yards over under on him. I'm not thinking that the odds makers are thinking there's a role, but do you think there's a role for him?
There has to be, because if I'm Mike Vrabel, who's a defensive coach, by the way, I'm doing anything I can to slow him up. And I could Kupp get 40 to 50 yards? Yes. But by the way, he's played in this game before. He knows what it takes. We know he's clearly near the end. But someone else, I get where you're going here. Someone else has to help out. And Kupp will be that guy. A.J. Barner is a very talented tight end down the seam. But overall, slow down JSN if you're the Patriots, and you've got a real shot to win. But the problem that the Patriots have is, Dan, you can't put it on Drake May now. The weather's clear. You don't have to worry about that. But the big thing is they got to find the Patriots, Dan. They have to find somebody else to make plays, because you can't put it all on Diggs here. Someone else has got to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, Hunter Henry has to be probably somebody in that ball game for them. Don't you think? That's got to have to be a guy that's got to move the sticks, and they got to win first and second down.
Right. They do. I heard you earlier. But one thing I'm going to add, you cannot be conservative. Here's why. The way that you beat the Seahawks is not by running the football. I know that that's what they like to do. Good luck doing that. Tariq Woolen and Josh Jobe especially are getting beat. They got beat in the last game. They got beat really late in the season against the Rams when they gave up a ton of big plays. Baker Mayfield got them. And by the way, Mayfield, and that's just week 5, but Mayfield crushed them without Mike Evans. And to me, there's no way the Patriots are winning this game by running the football. No chance.
We will continue our conversation with Adam Kaplan. We'll get more into the game next right here on SportsGrid.
He completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying
Right?
that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on crap.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Super Bowl 60, Patriots and Seahawks. This ought to be a very interesting ball game. Adam Kaplan joins us for a second segment here now. You know, the Super Bowl coaching in this game, Adam, check it out. So Josh McDaniels just wins the Assistant Coach of the Year award. You got a guy leaving for the Raiders who's going to be the head football coach there in Las Vegas, and Clint Kubiak. You have these two great defensive-minded coaches. You couldn't ask for two better teams, two better coach teams, probably the two best teams going into this Super Bowl when it comes to coaching, no?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, man. And I heard you talk about John Schneider. I want to talk about him in a minute, the general manager who's got personnel control for the first time in his career. But Vrabel, like, it's funny because it's funny when you mention Josh McDaniels, Assistant Coach of the Year. So for Pro Football Writers Association, I voted for McDaniels as Assistant Coach of the Year. Jeff Stoutland would have been my runner-up. She's not Jeff Stoutland, Vic Fangio. But I had Vrabel as Coach of the Year. Dan, you and I talked about this before. There were so many deserving candidates. You could have voted for Mike McDonald. I mean, it's coaching
right.
here is, as a former football player, coaching matters, man. It's players one, coaches 1A. You cannot win one without the other. It's not like the players could roll the ball out themselves and just do whatever they wanted. You need to be coached. And this has been just supreme coaching. It's a good point. And I would actually say for the whole staff, the Patriots staff, with the rosters that they have, that the fact that they're here, I completely got them wrong. I thought 8 wins would have been good for them. Boy, did I miss on that football team.
How about the two quarterbacks going into this game?
Yeah.
I mean, you got one guy who's the second youngest next to Dan Marino at 23 going in, and then you have what used to be, I think, a journeyman 60 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl in Sam Darnold. These two quarterbacks, who do you think has the most pressure, and who has to carry their team more in this ball game this afternoon?
Okay, the latter, carrying them now. Drake May's going to have to run when he has to, and when the pocket breaks down, run. Don't be afraid to run. And you saw against Denver, he was not bashful. That was really the one thing he did well in that game. He didn't turn it over, but he ran the ball well on some designs and some not designed. But more on Darnold because he has a short-term deal, only 2 years. He'll be the quarterback next year, but if you're Darnold, you got to show up. Last year, it's great as he played for Minnesota for most of the season. You saw the final 2 games, and they can't have that meltdown. I am still in awe, though, Dan, of the game that he had in the championship game against the Rams. I just can't believe it, how well he played. You know, as a former football player, it's about processing with quarterbacks, and his ability to process. He made some crazy throws that I don't think he's even attempted before, and the anticipation. See, his problem over the years was hold on to it, stare the pass target down, and then scramble and get hit, turn it over. He's not doing that anymore. And that's a big reason why Clint Kubiak is going to be the Raiders head coach. Great coaching. You set up very well, man. This is what you and I could probably think about this at some point in a future show. But I don't know if you could put together two coaching staffs that have done a better job for this game.
How about the front offices? We mentioned John Schneider with the Seahawks, and we also, how about the young Elliott Wolf, Ron Wolf's kid, and what they've done at retooling these football teams?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. It's similar to Brandon being the Bills GM drafting Josh Allen. Incredible amount of criticism. How could you draft a guy like Josh Allen as horrible accuracy? One of the few quarterbacks in D1 history to really significantly improve his accuracy. And same here with Drake May. Wild child, is he willing to be coached? Plays undisciplined football, a lot of hero ball in North Carolina. And I know from talking to the Patriots when they got him last year, willing learner, better than probably thought he would be as a rookie. And I voted for him, Drake May's most improved player. I just can't believe how good he is. It shocks me. This is the great part about coaching and the uncertainty. You really never know when a guy's going to be this good. And just think about it. Look at their pass target group. Not very good. Good or great quarterback play elevates everybody around them. And John Schneider, by the way, Schneider is always he's always done well with the salary cap. Understands very well. He came from ironically, where did he come from? Green Bay. He's done a phenomenal football job here, setting everything up. He's a top 3 general manager, and as I said earlier, this is the first time he has control. What I was told many years ago, Pete Carroll had it, but would rarely use it. But Schneid's has got it now, and John's done a phenomenal job. And I mean, he's as good as Howie. Roseman, who's the best, but he's right up there, Schneider.
No question about it. Hey, and about 20 seconds here. Stoutland leaving the Eagles. Shocked, huh?
Yes. Well, let's put it. They're trying to keep him around they're working on him. He's not going to coach this year, I believe, but he's under contract. He's not going to coach for the Eagles. But the question is, past this season, will he coach? That's the biggest deal. But yes, it was. I was surprised. If you would have asked me a week ago, I'm like, they're working on something. He's going to be back with the Eagles on the coaching staff. And then he kind of surprised a lot of people. Let's put it that way. When he announced his resignation and he said, stout out. I know his son runs to the Twitter, but he has to okay it. I was surprised to say, look at this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. We'll talk to Super Bowl champion quarterback Brett Johnson next.
He completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on crap.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
believe there's any better phrase in sports than Super Sunday. There's just no better phrase. This is what it all comes down to this afternoon. And we got a guy who was in one of these football games, Super Bowl 37. Brad Johnson, the winner of that game with his Buccaneer team against the Raiders in San Diego. He joins us now here on SportsGrid. And let me ask you first and foremost, from Super Bowl 37, here we go into Super Bowl 60. Brad, for you, how much has the game changed to where it was then to where it is now?
The game is growing and growing and growing, from viewers to the year-round coverage to when I played, we didn't have text. We didn't. All we had was VH films. And the game has grown. It's grown. Instagram, all those kind of things. It has grown worldwide, and now they're playing. I guess next year's plan is to play 16 games, regular season games overseas. So it has become worldwide. And the viewership and flag football, all the above. And it's just a great game. It's a great day to celebrate the year round of football, and then hope one of these champions tonight.
Absolutely. What was Super Bowl week like for you guys in your preparation as you got ready? Obviously, you guys had kind of an advantage because Coach Gruden had coached that personnel, and he was the head football coach. And then when you guys were prepping for this Raider team, talk about that week of preparation for you guys going into this game.
The difference with us is we only had 1 weekend preparation. When the NFC Championship took place, we only had 7 days later, we were playing in the Super Bowl. So now they have 2 weeks. So that was a little bit different. We had to beat our nemesis in Philadelphia. That was the biggest thing. That was like our Super Bowl at that time. But then all of a sudden, you got to get tickets for your family. You got to get plane tickets. You got to get hotels. I ended up getting 22 tickets, and just managing that after beating Philadelphia, getting to San Diego on Monday, like that's a lot to handle. And then and Coach Gruden and the staff, they actually stayed back in Tampa. They did a regular work day in Tampa on Monday, then flew out. They had Mark Cuban's plane, and they came out and presented the game plan to us basically on Wednesday morning. So where these guys they had a 10-day head start on us. So it's a lot going on. The media preparation is a lot, but it's also an awesome opportunity to kind of, tell your story, your childhood dream of, becoming a player, and then what you had your things you overcame, to celebrate your coaches, celebrate your hometowns, to celebrate your career. And those kind of took place on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the media got shut off. And then all of a sudden you're in a game. And so sometimes going into these games, like the Super Bowl, is the actual game is the least thing that's really going on. It's all the other stuff that goes around it. You have to realize, 10:30 Sunday night, there's going to be confetti falling on somebody's face. And so the talk does go with Gruden as far as, he knew all their, he knew their plays. Well, the thing about it, they were running our offense too. So they knew our plays, we knew their plays. But Gruden did have an advantage as far as knowing the personnel, the personalities on that team, and the different ways to attack them on both sides of the ball. So it was just, fun to be playing our best football at that time of the season, being healthy and being ready for that week. But it's a lot that takes place on besides just the game itself.
Brad, do you believe in momentum going into these games? Do you believe that if you're really playing good ball, you're playing great ball? Both these football teams, I think, have momentum going into this game. Do you believe in that, or is that like a media thing?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, the difference now, they've had 2 weeks off. Like, you could lose a little bit of your mojo. But the thing about it, whoa, baby, I lost my TV there. Sorry about that. The thing about it was that both teams are, they were 14-3, both teams. They've had the mojo the whole season long. And I think when you look at New England, like they were 9-0 on the road. They are East Coast, West Coast, and everywhere in between. They're playing it all over the country. You know what I mean? So it's I think mojo is a part of it, but right now it's just a matter of those guys trusting their game plans and being relaxed and playing this environment. It's a little bit different than other games.
Brad, was there something that you worked on throughout the entire week? Was there one thing that you were concerned about and one thing that you focused on throughout the week in your preparation for that game on Sunday?
To me, honestly, I try to keep the same schedule that I had all season long. I didn't try to do watch too much film. I didn't try to over prepare. I tried to do what I had done all season long, and just the ability to trust the game plan, to trust the players around me. We had an incredible defense, obviously, but we had a great special teams guys, and our offense, we had guys that can make plays. So I think it's really just trust everybody around you, do your job, and don't do any more than you don't have to do more than what's already expected of you or what you've already done before. So I think really just the ability to trust the game plan and stay relaxed in the moment.
Was there a moment in the game, or was it at the very end, that you knew you had the game won? Was there when you were in the huddle, did you go, "We got this"?
Well, there was a couple times I thought we had it, then they got away from us. So when we scored right at the end of the half through a touchdown pass to Keenan McCardell, place called South Right Nickel 41, killed 374 Wasps through a fade stop to Keenan. We went up 20-3 at halftime. So at halftime, I'm like, holy smokes, we got a chance to win this thing. Then we came out, we were hot in the third quarter. We were up 34-3 in the third quarter. I'm like, okay, I think we got this. We got it. And then all of a sudden, they block a punt. They throw a long bomb for a touchdown. They end up going for three times and missed all three of them. And the score got 34-21 with like 6 minutes to go. Like we were in a ball game. And but then I think the game, when it closed out, when Derrick Brooks made the interception with about a minute to go, that was like, could finally breathe, you know? And it was like then we started celebrating with each other on the sidelines, and all those things happened. And then, I tell, for me, it was the most incredible moment of my career, because in 1987, I'd seen Phil Simms do the Disney commercial of, we're going to Disney, and confetti was falling on his face. And so there I was at the end of the game, and I had my wife, who was 7.5 months pregnant with our son Jake, and I had my son Max in my arms, and Coach Gruden, we're all saying we're going to Disney. And it was an incredible moment to say, you were the best quarterback, you were on the best team in the world for at least one moment. And at the end of the game, Bon Jovi's playing "It's My Life" and Queen's playing "We're the Champions of the World." Like, that's what's getting ready to happen. Like, and so I wait till the end of the game tonight just to watch those people go through those emotions tonight, because it's going to be the best. It's going to be one of the best days of their life, whoever comes with the victory.
When you held that trophy for the first time, the Lombardi Trophy, was it surreal? I mean, all the things that you had, worked on when you were a kid, when you went to Florida State, all the journeys that you had done when you were in the NFL, what was it like holding that trophy? Was it surreal?
Yeah, I mean, it's the shiniest trophy you've ever seen the first time you've seen it. And to actually hold it in your hands, like, it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? I'm one of 35 quarterbacks that have ever done it. 13 guys have done it multiple times. And it's just, you think about being like going to the youth parks and playing as a kid on your Pop Warner football team, and then trying to make your middle school team and high school team, and just thankful to get a scholarship and then to be drafted. Like, it's such a long process to just make it. And then you got to have some luck along the way, great players, great coaches around you. And then to be the one, to be that quarterback, to hold that Lombardi Trophy up, like, it's just, it is very surreal, like you say.
Unbelievable. And then I got to tell you, as a former Buck and a Buck fan, bringing that thing home to Tampa, hey, 20 seconds here, pretty awesome bringing the first one home, huh?
The first, the only other Super Bowl that had taken place was the Dolphins back in the early 70s. So that's when Tampa Bay began, when we brought home the Lombardi Trophy home first, and then you saw the Tampa Bay Lightning bring it home, and then Tom Brady brings it home later. So that's why Tampa Bay became Tampa Bay. But there always has to be the first, and that's thankful for our group of guys that did it.
Absolutely, Brad. We're going to talk about Super Bowl 60 next, and what has to happen in that football game, because I think these two teams, as you said, heading into this game with all the momentum. Brad Johnson, Super Bowl champion quarterback, next with us right here on SportsGrid.
You wouldn't have your ex officiate your wedding.
Do you, Jake? Liar? Cheater? Gaslighter.
So why have anyone but America's largest injury law firm handle your injury case? With over $30 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Gaslighter, coitus crier, he's got more red flags than a bullfighter's attire.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. SportsGrid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize. We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on SportsGrid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
They're just unblemished everywhere. They dominate you defensively, and they have offensive balance. They force turnovers and control the glass. Let's put it to you like this. UConn isn't just undefeated. They're a tyrant over the women's basketball landscape. March won't expose them much as they will confirm their invincibility.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Our conversation continues with Super Bowl champion quarterback at Super Bowl 37, Brad Johnson. Hey, Brad, before we get started here on the game this afternoon, where do you keep your ring?
I used to keep it in my shaving kit. Now it's in a safe. Now it's in a safe. I only wear it like on special occasions if I'm speaking or something like that. But it's in a safe, so that's where it's at.
I love it, man. Hey, I got to ask you too, also about the Hall of Fame stuff. You know, Brady, and he's been going around now saying that the slight of Robert Kraft and also Belichick not going in on the first ballot. What was your takeaway as a former player with those two guys with the most Super Bowl wins as an owner, and also the coach with the most Super Bowl championships in Belichick not going in on a first ballot?
Yeah, it's well documented what they've achieved and accomplished and those kind of things. But it also is what it is, and it's a vote. It's is an agenda? Is it political? Who's voting? I don't know. So that's what I love about winning. There's no vote. And that's but I'll say this, everybody that goes into the Hall of Fame, they deserve it. It's an incredible honor. And I'm sure I would expect them to all be in it next year. And so it's just, it kind of opened people's eyes of, how do Pro Bowl votes happen, to be honest with you. To be honest, like, is it a fan vote? Is it players voting? Is it who's voting for it? So that's kind of the way I look at those kind of things. But the Hall of Fame, everyone needs to get a chance. They should visit the Hall of Fame, and it's pretty incredible the guys that do make it. And I don't want that to take away from the guys that did make it this past year. But I'm sure Kraft and Belichick, they'll make it probably next year.
Absolutely, and like you said, I mean, those are the 1%ers of the 1%ers, Brad. So, yeah, give me your takeaways on what you're going to see this afternoon, and who do you think comes out of Super Bowl 60, Patriots or Seahawks?
Excited for both teams. They both were 14-3 during the course of the season. They found a way to win. New England, they won in the cold the last 2 weeks against Houston, and then on the road against Denver and Seattle. They found a way to win too. So it's fun for both these guys. Both of them have great defenses. I mean, that you cannot underestimate how great both defenses are. How both have dominated the playoffs. They're two different styles. Patriots use a little bit more pressures, a little bit more blitz, and Seattle uses a little bit more four-man rushes. And I think when you play a little bit more coverage at that time. So I think one of Drake May's greatest strengths is not, he's thrown over 70% this past year, second in MVP voting. But I think one of his Superman powers is his ability to run, make plays with his feet. And so when those things happen, it's usually when it's like versus two-man or man pressures where there's more lanes to run through. So with a four-man rush and playing coverage, it may limit him just a little bit on some of those long runs that he's had in the past. But the team that doesn't turn it over can make explosive plays and score in the red zone. Like, it's the recipe for success. But it's the truth of what happened tonight.
How about this? I think, Brad, you brought up something really great when you guys were really playing, you thought potentially for the Super Bowl when you were playing in that NFC title game against the Eagles. How much did that prep you for what you were going to do in the Super Bowl against the Raiders? And I asked this question Drake May's gone against the Denver Bronco defense. He's gone against the Houston Texans defense. He's going to see another great defense. Brad, doesn't that prep you kind of for what you're going to see? Because, these are the three elite defenses in pro football. How do you think that helps Drake May? Because I don't believe he's going to be surprised by anything going into this game, going against an elite defense.
Yeah, if Drake May wins it, the Patriots win it, he'll be the youngest quarterback to have ever won it. Dan Marino would have been that person. And you just never know when your opportunities are going to come back. And, thought Dan would have won 10 Super Bowls and you just don't get a chance to play for it again. So this is the moment to win today. But, I think both of them have great coaches. And you look at, for Drake May, look at the success that Tom Brady had. It was with Josh McDaniels. Like, the coordinators, the play callers, they matter. The coaches matter. Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the year, matters, And so the success of Tom Brady kind of carries over a little bit to Drake May. Last year was a subpar year. That team was 4-13, and Drake threw 15 touchdowns, 10 picks or something like that. Just okay. They surrounded him with great players, a great cast, and a great play caller. So I would expect to see a lot of screens, a lot of quick hitters early in the game. And they do a great job of play action passes to get protection and to take some shots down the field. But Drake will be ready for the moment. Both quarterbacks will be, but it's definitely just a lot more riding on this one than any other moments.
I would think that you would be a little partial to Sam Darnold's story because of your journeys in the NFL. You got to kind of relate a little bit to what he's going through. He's 60 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl.
Yep. I've watched Sam Darnold since he was in college. He played 3 years in college. First year he didn't play. He played 2 years. He was 20 years old when he was drafted, went to the Jets, struggled mightily for 3 years with the Jets. Got traded, went to Carolina, was okay, took up the backup role with San Fran. Well, they went to the Super Bowl, but only played one game. Then he hit his stride. And I think that the things with quarterbacks, you can't rush quarterbacks, especially great ones. Like, don't let the fans choose who your guy is. Like, have a plan for your quarterback. And so now he's 28 instead of 20. And he's a grown man now. He's proven that he can play in this league, and he's ready for the moment. When you get to that 50-game threshold, he's 49-41 as a starter. You are ready to take off in your career. So he's done it. Excited to watch his journey. Every quarterback goes through it. You got to go through the ring of fire, and that's what he's done throughout his career. And thumbs up to him, man. It's a lot to fight through some of those the negative things that are said about you.
32-8 potentially, Brad, if this guy closes the deal up with over 8,200 passing yards and over 60 touchdowns. Incredible. By the way, real quick before I get you out of here, who do you like in the game? You like the Seahawks or Patriots?
I like me sitting on the couch, eating all the food we're going to have tonight. Like, I'm in for a great night. Okay? But I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. We talked about it. I'm giving the nod, my thumbs up, probably to Seattle on this one. So I see a close ball game. I see it in the 20s, and I see a great ball game. So it's going to be fun to sit back and watch who handles the pressure and who can come through in the clutch, and eventually who holds up the Lombardi.
You got it. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate you, brother. It's going to be a great one. I agree. Sileo says next, and it is about Sam Darnold, the Seahawks quarterback. We'll do that next, right here on SportsGrid.
he completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on Kraft.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You know, I've been talking the Sam Darnold story for the last couple weekends, and I think it's one of the truly great testaments to a guy that believes in perseverance in what he's gone through in his entire career, and that is, without a doubt, Sam Darnold. We just talked with Brad Johnson in his journey. He went to multiple teams, and here you're looking at Sam Darnold here and what he's on the cusp of potentially doing. Being a Super Bowl champion. You know, we brought it up with, his stay with the Jets and what happened with him in New York. It was horrible. He did get out to a tough start. Boomer Esiason was telling me the other day, and he was on the radio even saying that, hey, look, for all the things that happened with Sam Darnold with the New York Jets, it was really bad. And it was a horrible beginning for him. And again, the organization wasn't prepared for a 20-year-old guy. So they moved on from him because they didn't show the patience. What does he do? He goes and he's moved to Carolina. He is a practice player. And I mean not an offensive quarterback practice player. They were using him as a defensive end for the scout team in Carolina. That's how much this player's value had dropped. Think of that. They weren't even looking at him potentially at being a guy who could carry their football team when he was with the Carolina Panthers. Another move. He ends up getting a divorce there, goes to San Francisco. If you remember what Kyle Shanahan said about him, he even said, he goes, this kid can play. He just needs opportunity. How many quarterbacks have fallen through the cracks in NFL history like this? Hey, the greatest example of that is Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was cut multiple times, and nobody gave him a chance until Dick Vermeil gave him that shot when Trent Green got hurt. And what would he do? He would go on to win a Super Bowl, an MVP. He would be a guy that would get a gold jacket eventually. Think of all the guys that have been on this Sam Darnold journey. It's incredible. And now, here he goes to Minnesota. Minnesota quits on him and goes with J.J. McCarthy and thinks that that's the future of their team. It ended up costing the analytics department their jobs and also their general manager. He goes to Seattle. Mike McDonald gets him, makes him into a NFC championship quarterback along with Clint Kubiak, and here he is 60 minutes away. He was asked by one of the media members this week, would you change anything and anything on your journey? Was there one moment in your journey that you would change? Sam Darnold said what a champion is supposed to say. He said the same thing that Tom Brady said. Brady was asked the question, if you ever had the chance, with nil being the way it is today, would you ever transfer from Michigan with all the things that happened to you at Michigan? Tom Brady said, no, because all the things that happened to me in Ann Arbor made me the football player that I became. The journey that I was on, it gave me the fortitude and the perseverance to keep chucking away and keep pounding that rock. Sam Darnold answered it the same way. I would never change anything of my journey, because if anything in the journey that I learned, it's patience and never letting go. It's a Mike Tomlin line, never letting go of the rope. Sam Darnold is a testament that if you may not be the greatest talent on the planet, but if you believe and you keep yourself going and you keep going and you never let go of that rope, perseverance wins. I can't tell you how many times I've told people my story when I was at the University of Miami. Do you know how many talented football players that there were at UM when I showed up? All these like Gatorade, All-Americans, all of these guys. But I said, you know what? If I put the work in and I keep believing, I'm going to get to where I want to get to. And I ended up becoming the 56th player taken and drafted into the National Football League. I believe in perseverance. So the story that you hear with Sam Darnold, for every single quarterback out there or every kid out there that's listening, that's the story. Never quit. That's the story. You're 60 minutes away from winning Super Bowl 60. Sky was not supposed to be in this position. Years ago, they'd be calling this guy a bust and they'd be writing him off. Well, guess what? He may be doing one of the most important things by the end of the night, and that is hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy and the trophy of perseverance. Folks, this is the story of never quitting. Sam Darnold is that face. This is why this story here resonates with me, and it should with every American out there that's going to watch this great game tonight, is that you never quit. Sam Darnold, what a testament to that. With all the journey that he's been on, here he is, like I said, 60 minutes away from winning the most important sporting event in American sports, the Super Bowl. Wow. What a storyline. Can't wait to see what happens tonight. This is going to be, I think, one of the most iconic games that we've seen in recent memory, because I do believe this is going to be close. Brady Cannon. We'll break the game down with him in hour number 2. That's next, right here on SportsGrid.
He completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields, because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying
Right?
that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on crap.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
think I could say this enough, but the greatest phrase in American sports, Super Sunday. Super Bowl 60 is today. We will see who ends up being crowned the champion of the National Football League. We have Brady Cannon with us now. And is there any better phrase, Brady, than Super Sunday? I mean, this is what it's all about, right?
This is it, man. I mean, Christmas Day, Super Sunday, the Masters, one of those events in the world of American sports, the world of sports that, and they often talk about the Monday after should be a holiday. Well, it certainly feels like a holiday today, that's for sure.
Should the game be played on Saturday? Or do you want to see the game still played on Sunday? Because, more people call in sick on Monday because of Super Sunday, right? I mean, should the game be played on Saturday?
Nah. I mean, we just came on here and said Super Sunday, right? That's what it is. Right. It's Super Sunday. And, you've got work on Monday, deal with it. So, no, let's keep that tradition. Some things, Dan, should remain the same. I know they're realigning college football, but, let's keep some things traditional.
Absolutely. Well, let's go with the tradition of breaking this thing down. Who do you like in Super Bowl 60?
I like the Seahawks, Dan. I'm not saying they're necessarily not or going to cover the spread. I wouldn't be surprised at all if New England finds a way, and we're seeing that start to get back to 5 now. I even think there was a 5.5 that popped. We'll see where that goes. But I just think they're the better team. And I think if both of these teams play the way they should, and play a clean game, it should be a very good one, like you allude to in the last segment. I think it'll be a very entertaining football game. I don't think it'll be a blowout one way or another. But at the end of the day, I believe the Seahawks are overall the better squad here and should win it. Will they win by margin? I wouldn't be surprised, but it feels more undecided for me, Dan, than Super Bowls of the past. This spread feels right on. I made it 5. When I crunch the stats, I come to 6.5, but I don't feel so confident running to the window and laying the price. The Patriots have, seemingly done it time and time again throughout this entire season. They find a way to surprise us and do the seemingly impossible. And I wouldn't be surprised by that again. But again, like I say, I think Seattle has the better squad here, the overall better defense. I think the overall better offense. Their coaching is incredible. And I'm really excited about the guy on the sidelines calling plays here that's going to be in Las Vegas, and Clint Kubiak. Mike McDonald, tremendous job. So I think they're overall the better team, and that's where I'm going to go today.
How about this? Do you believe that if New England does have a shot in this ball game, they've got to win on first and second down, which means they got to get a run game going? And the real big suspect coming into this ball game this afternoon, it's got to be the Patriots offensive line versus that front seven of the Seattle Seahawks. Is that the battle of the game right there?
That's certainly a big one. And another area, and you're right, the running game has to get going. The running back, Ramondre Stevenson, right out of my backyard here from Centennial High School in Las Vegas. So kind of, a little homegrown kid there that we're rooting for a little bit. But yeah, he's got to be big. I think Travion Henderson has to show up. He hasn't really, made any noise for a minute. Seems like since that Buffalo Bills game where he really went nuts. But another matchup that I think is very interesting is the Patriots and that pass rush, okay? They never really had much of a pass rush throughout the entire regular season, and then all of a sudden it came alive in the postseason against the Chargers and against the Texans specifically. But you look at those two teams, the Chargers, we know, were decimated by injury at offensive line, and the offensive line was never a strong point. In fact, it was a weak point for the Texans. Well, that's not necessarily the case here in Seattle. And so, what we saw lately with that pass rush for New England, I think it's neutralized a little bit today. And that's a big difference as well. So the line of scrimmage, Dan, is always huge, whether it's the running game for New England or the pass rush for New England. I think both of those things have to come to play here today. And I'm not so sure they will.
Brady, I said to Adam Kaplan in the last hour, I said that, one of the things that I love, and you mentioned it, with Clint Kubiak, I'm going to be interested to see how they move around JSN, because kind of like Puka Nacua with the Rams, they move him around a lot. They'll drop him in the slot. They'll go YZ with him. And so he's the key to this offense and the key to them moving the ball along with Walker. Would you not agree that you want to win first and second down? But I'm gonna be interested to see how they use JSN in this ball game. Is he the key also for them in Seattle winning this ball game?
He's obviously a big part. What a great player. Congratulations to him, Offensive Player of the Year. And, you can only hope to contain him. One of those guys, right? You're not going to shut him down completely. He's very, very good. But, we've had 2 weeks before, getting here as well. And I think guys that are so creative like Josh McDaniels and Clint Kubiak, they're going to find other ways, because you and I are talking about Kenneth Walker and JSN. Obviously, the Patriots, their focal point is probably going to be dead center on those two guys, because they know those two guys can, they are the big dogs that can really hurt you if you don't, again, contain them. So I think we could possibly see some other little nuances as well. AJ Barner, Bobo. I mean, I think there's, and you talk about lining up JSN in different spots. Maybe there's some situations for him out of the backfield, Shaheed out of the backfield. Everybody's seen every single game on tape at this point. So I think you're probably going to see some new looks, and we typically see that type of thing in the Super Bowl. It's the last game of the year. You've got to pull out all the stops. The Philly specials, the flea flickers, all that stuff seems to show up here. Jawan Jennings threw a touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey a couple years ago. So I think you're going to see some of that stuff. The focal point, for the Seattle Seahawks offense and the New England defense has to be JSN and Kendall Walker, but I also believe you're going to see a lot of variety.
Brady, don't you agree also that many people going to sleep on this Patriots defense? I mean, everyone's crowning the Seattle Seahawks defense, and it is a great group. There's no doubt. But boy, I'll tell you, the addition of Milton Williams, them bringing him up from the Eagles, has been a massive factor for them on being versatile. They play him in a 2 technique, a 1 technique. They slide him all up and down the line of scrimmage. And that defense has kind of taken on the personality of that head coach, who was just named the coach of the year. So, I mean, that Patriots defense, that's a formidable group too.
They're no joke, and Vrabel's done just an outstanding job. I think he has these guys playing above their head in a lot of ways for the entire season. He has them so motivated. He's done just a masterful job, and congratulations to him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has one more trick up his sleeve. But you mentioned Milton Williams. He's been outstanding. I think the guy that's really important that doesn't get talked about as much is Robert Spillane, a former Las Vegas Raider here in town. Great linebacker. I think he leads the team in tackles. Now, he's a little bit banged up, nursing an ankle. We expect him to play. He says he feels good to go. But you know how it is. I mean, is anybody not questionable at this point? Everybody's nursing little nicks and bruises and that type of thing. But he is important. And if he is truly not at his top level game and shutting down that run for the New England defense, that's a soft spot that could be exposed here. Milton Williams, I don't believe, can do it all by himself. Spillane has to be there from that second level in the linebacking core. And if he's not able to really have a great game, I think that gives Seattle another edge here, possibly.
How about 20 seconds here? Cooper Kupp, is there a role for him in this ball game? Can't just be JSN, right?
Right, exactly. And I talk about the variety. We don't see him all the time. It's not like he's been the Cooper Kupp that we saw a few years ago, win the MVP and all that, but he's got that veteran savvy. He's been here before. He's done that before, had a great playoff series. Yeah, I think he's a guy that's going to show up. A lot of people are high on some of his prop bets and stuff, over 3.5 catches, stuff like that. Yeah, I could see him catching 3, 4, 5 balls, maybe a touchdown. I think he will have an impact because he's that guy.
Absolutely. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America. Don't forget, family-owned, family-run by John and Ultima Morgan. The family in Pennsylvania was initially offered $650K. They got $26 million. Folks, I'm telling you, go to forthepeople.com/big deals or pound law 529. More with Brady Cannon next right here on SportsGrid.
He completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on crap.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Man, it's Super Sunday. What more can you say here? Brady Cannon's here with us for segment 2 here. And Brady, I just love days like this because it is Americana. Like you said, pizza, you got your wings, you got beer, you got everything rolling here. And of course, you got the big game this afternoon here. The quarterback's in the ball game. Brady, for you, what quarterback do you believe has the most pressure heading into this afternoon's game?
God, that's a great question, Dan. Boy, it feels like the easy answer is Darnold because of, obviously a longer career that started out shaky. But I really, I heard you talking about before I came on the path and the never quit. And it's been remarkable. I started to see the change in Sam Darnold when he started to play maybe half a dozen games for the Carolina Panthers. And he was moving in the pocket and he was slinging the football. And I said, this guy, he's looking good. It felt like he's maturing as a player and he's turning the corner, feeling more comfortable with himself. And then he goes into some great systems, plays for Kyle Shanahan, a backup to Brock Purdy, did very well there. Obviously, a huge breakout with Kevin O'Connell and now with Seattle. So you would think there's pressure on him to close the deal. And Drake May, obviously relatively new, just in his second year, not really a lot of pressure there. So, yeah, I think the answer is Darnold, but I don't know if that's a bad thing, my friend.
How about the coaching in this game? Not just the head coaching, Brady, but look at the 2 offensive coordinators and then look at the 2 defensive minds going into this game. I mean, as you mentioned, Josh McDaniels, this guy wins the Assistant Coach of the Year award on Thursday at the NFL Honors. Now you have Clint Kubiak, who's going to your neck of the woods to become the Raiders' next head football coach, probably going to take on Fernando Mendoza if everything holds right, where he's going to be the number 1 draft pick there with the Raiders. And then you have these 2 defensive-minded coaches with Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel. Is there any staff, in your opinion, in this game this afternoon that has the advantage?
No, I think they're really good. I'm trying to poke holes in why I shouldn't be feeling this way about Seattle. And I have to question myself. Am I just jumping on with the masses here and thinking the favorite is going to get it done? Because usually I can make a really good case for the dog. And I think you can here. But I'm just trying to check myself and go, what am I missing here? Why am I not in love with the underdog here today? And am I getting too enamored with the favorite? But you look at that coaching staff, that's such a sound group. Kubiak, I mean, God, this guy is impressive. What a family. You've got Clay Kubiak with the 49ers, Clint over here, the father, a Super Bowl, coach. quarterback, what have you. They are just so innovative. McDonald's done a tremendous job. Here he is in the Super Bowl. What is it, his third season or something like that? Vrabel, the turnaround. McDaniel's doing it again. Tried a couple times as a head coach, didn't work. And we see that all the time. Some guys are just not the CEO, but they're fantastic vice presidents. And that's what Josh McDaniels apparently is. No, these are really good, they deserve to be here, both teams. Are there better teams in the NFL as a whole? Coaching, defense, offense? Maybe you make an offense, or maybe you make an argument for the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. I don't know. But these are two really good representatives, and I think they're solid all the way from top to bottom, Dan.
How about, speaking of top, let's go back up even further here. John Schneider, look at the job that John Schneider, their general manager, has done. And then take a look at the young Turkin, Elliott Wolf. That's Ron Wolf's kid. He has Alonzo Highsmith helping him. He comes over from Green Bay as an assistant. But, everything Brady bleeds down. When you've got great ownership, when you've got great leadership, look, it goes from the GM on down. It's pretty remarkable. You're coming out of the Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson era, and you're going now into the Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold era. And then you go on the other side in New England. You're coming out of the Brady and Belichick era. Now you're going into Vrabel and the May era. This really shows you about ownership and leadership at the top of these organizations as well.
Well-run businesses, right? The New England Patriots for a long time, the Pittsburgh Steelers for a long time, in baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals. Well-run businesses, very efficient, good leadership. The Seattle Seahawks, I think, sneakily have had really good draft classes for a handful of years now. I remember way back when they drafted Rashad Penny out of your neck of the woods, San Diego State, and everybody thought that was a lousy pick. It didn't turn out, but that guy was a good player. But in between then, they have, JSN, how good does that pick look right now? Kendall Walker looks like a great pick right now. And I thought New England, this whole turnaround in hiring Vrabel, and did a tremendous job in free agency. We talked about Robert Spillane, Milton Williams, a couple of tremendous signings there. So a lot of different ways to skin the cat, but at the end of the day, two very well-run businesses that have found themselves in the promised land.
Brady, are you expecting a high-scoring game, or are you expecting a low-scoring game this afternoon?
I told you, I feel like this Super Bowl has me a little bit more undecided than maybe normally I would feel. And again, this total feels so close. I did see it open at 47 at one very sharp book, and that's where I'm kind of hanging my hat. I think we're going to get to 47. My final score prediction earlier was 27-20. So if you made me play the game right now, I would probably go over 45. I know some very sharp people took under 46 and under 46.5. And I think we're splitting hairs there. I think this game is going to fall right in that neighborhood. It just feels like, again, I don't know if we know results are random. It could be 20-13. It could be 50-40. But I'm saying the number that the odds makers are hanging feels so good. It's really hard, I think, to make a decision. But to answer your question, Dan, I'm thinking we land on 47.
I would think that for the Patriots, you want to make this a fourth quarter football game, right? Because it can get out of hand, as you've been saying. Seattle can put up points, and they can throw themselves out of trouble. New England's got to make this a fourth quarter football game, don't they?
They do. They probably have to muck it up a little bit. One of my friends earlier said, if Seattle plays their game and plays a clean game, they should win. For New England, I feel like something has to go sideways, like some sort of outlier performance. Darnold has to make mistakes, or Stevenson has to go nuts. There has to be something atypical, I believe, for New England to hoist the trophy.
Absolutely, Brady. I think this is going to be one whale of a football game. I think the running game is going to matter in this ball game. I appreciate you doing this. We're going to talk with one of the greatest players in Super Bowl history, Rocky Bleier. Silver Star, Bronze Star, and 4 Super Bowl rings. Next, right here on SportsGrid.
he completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying
Right?
that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on crap.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You know, during this week, you get a chance to really talk to some of the greatest players in the history of the National Football League that have been, without a doubt, one of the great, times when you get a chance to just absolutely get your chance to speak to some of these people. And one of those guys is clearly one of the most respected and renowned players in pro football history. And that guy's name is Rocky Bleier. We had a chance this weekend to catch up with the 4-time Super Bowl champion, Bronze Star winner, and also Silver Star winner from the Vietnam War. 4 titles in 6 years. Here's our conversation with Rocky Bleier. All right, one of my favorite people that I get a chance to talk to each and every single time the Super Bowl's here is my friend, 4-time champion. He is also a Bronze Star and Purple Heart winner, my friend Rocky Bleier. Rock, I ask you again, with those great championship teams that you had with the Steelers, what has changed, do you think, from those days to right now and how big the Super Bowl has gotten?
Well, I mean, the Super Bowl is huge, as we well know. I mean, just the amount of people that will be watching it, and Super Bowl parties that are taking place, and those thousands of people that will be at the game and the weekend. So, yeah, it has been huge. But you got to take that all into consideration, and it boils down, the game boils down still to what? 2 teams that have gotten to the position to be able to play this game. And as we look at Seattle and New England, and these are 2 teams that have at the end of, or through their season, in remaining games of the second half of this season, have won games to be able to get there. So there's a momentum that is being built by these 2 teams because of that defense and because of what they've accomplished. I've been into a situation where anything can happen. A great catch here, a misplace here, an interception here, a tipped ball over here, a fumble here that can change the course and direction of that game. So for the fans that are out there, I look at this game as going to be very exciting, and I can't wait to be able to watch and see how they perform.
Hey, Rocky, which one was your favorite Super Bowl?
Well, out of all the 4 Super Bowl rings, it was Super Bowl 13. The second time we had played the Dallas Cowboys. It was my favorite ring. And primarily it's my favorite ring because it's the largest and gaudiest. When we're down on the 7-yard, and it's third down with 1 yard for first down, and the play that had been called, just a quick back over my shoulder, take a 90-degree turn up the field, pick up 1, 2, 3 yards so I could get that first down. The ball was snapped. Of course, none of that happened. I did break out of my stance, but my opponent jumped across right up the field. In the meantime, Bradshaw's faking to Franco Harris into the line of scrimmage. And when he pulled the ball out looking for that receiver, myself down that line of scrimmage, and when he did not spot me, all of a sudden he thought it was a broken play. So he tucked the ball underneath his arm and he started to scramble to his right. As he's scrambling to his right, that sideline was looming up. Opposite side of him were all these defenders chasing him down. Then only at that moment, once in a lifetime we ever experience, our eyes met across the field, maybe 30, 40 yards separating us. And he released the ball. And as he released the ball, I leaped all 5'9.5" of me with all my might, straight up in the air, as high as I could go. Up, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 feet. Sometimes I forget after all these years. And I grabbed that ball, came down across the goal line to give us a score and a lead we never relinquish. That is the reason I wear Super Bowl 13. But the other reason is it's the largest and gaudiest of all 4 Super Bowl rings. That's why I wear that one.
Rocky, is that the Sports Illustrated cover picture with you catching that pass going on your back into the end zone?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's how it led up to that play.
Absolutely. It's great catching up with you, Rocky. Thank you so much, my friend.
I'm glad as the distance is between us. So be good. And to all your listeners out there, enjoy the Super Bowl. I think it'll be a good one.
You bet. Thank you, Rocky. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for putting up with me. Yeah.
And that was our conversation that we had with Rocky Bleier over the weekend here, Super Bowl weekend, as you get ready for the game. I say this all the time about the golden age of the National Football League was during that era because you had no free agency, remember? Now, I do believe today the players are better. There's no question. The players are better today, but you had no free agency back then. So all those teams were all intact. The Steeler teams, which won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. All the Hall of Famers, Rocky Bleier, Bronze Star, Silver Star, and a Purple Heart. No question, one of the greatest players of all time. Rohit Raya will be with us. We'll talk Super Bowl 16 next. Right here on
He completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on Kraft.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You know, we've said this before that, you know, one of the big things that has made Super Sunday, and not only Super Sunday, but the NFL, one of the most watched sporting events and leagues is because of sports gaming. You know, back in the day, you know, when you had a blowout game and you had a blowout, you know, going on, most people would just like not be engaged. But now because you have gaming and you have prop bets, this is what is really making the NFL, without a doubt, with one of the most intriguing events, especially when you have a day like this on Super Sunday. And Rohit Panay is here with us now. And all right, let's start it off here. Who do you like in Super Bowl 60 this afternoon?
You know, I'm going with the favorites here, Seattle Seahawks, -4.5. You know, I know it's a big one. I'm hearing a lot of the trends. Underdogs have been covering like crazy for, you know, more than a decade at a pretty consistent rate. But there's a lot of other trends that are out there that don't bode as well for the Patriots. One is that strength of schedule. I mean, they have faced a pretty weak strength of schedule. We see it in the playoffs. They have faced some really good defenses, and they've had a hard time moving the ball against them. They've also gotten lucky. They got to play against Jarrett Stidham. They got C.J. Stroud throwing 4 picks. If they don't get those bad quarterback performances, I don't think they're going to be able to keep pace here. And one of the trends I really like that kind of points things towards the Seahawks is that teams that don't cover in the conference championship game play against teams that do cover in the conference championship game are 2-12 ATS all time. So teams that underperform in the conference championship game against teams that perform up to expectations tend not to win, tend not to cover. So that's something where I really like the Seahawks in this spot. And I just think they're a little bit more balanced. And I think that defense is just incredible against both the run and the pass. And they're going to bring a ton of pressure against Drake May, who's been getting absolutely clobbered in the playoffs.
Rohit, what do you think are some of the most compelling props in this game going into it here? I mean, you know, like you said, some people think that if you have a low-scoring ball game, you know, that's going to favor the Patriots. If it's a high-scoring game, that's probably going to favor the Seahawks here. But some compelling prop bets that you could make in this game this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest ones, and I've been betting it for, you know, the entire playoffs, it's been worked out really well, is kind of looking at whoever the Patriots are playing against in terms of the sack leaders, the best pass rushers, and betting on them to get a sack. You know, Patriots have been, you know, allowed 5 sacks in every playoff game. It's usually the top pass rushers in the other team getting to Drake May. You know, he's a good quarterback. He's got good mobility, but he holds onto the ball a long time while his receivers are trying to get open. They're going to have a hard time getting open against the Seahawks pass coverage. And there's a few good pass rushers out there for Seattle. So Byron Murphy's a big one. He's probably the biggest Pro Bowl snub in the league, I think. And you can get him, you know, plus 150, plus 170 to pick up a sack. So that's either half a sack or a full sack or more. And that's pretty good plus money for a guy that's one of the best interior pass rushers in the league, going up against probably Jared Wilson, who is likely the weak link in that New England offensive line. So a lot of reasons to kind of like that angle here, but there's a few other Seahawks players as well. DeMarcus Lawrence, of course, who's been getting a lot of sacks over the last month or so. And also the team props, Seahawks over sacks, that sort of thing as well. So lots of angles to like from the defensive side of things, even if you do think this is going to be a lower scoring game.
How about this too? I mean, you know, last year, Milton Williams, I believe he had 2.5 sacks in that Super Bowl a year ago against Kansas City. If they are able to get pressure on Sam Darnold and that defense does step up, could that be a guy also maybe on the other side, Milton Williams, that you might want to drop some ducks on?
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of value on those Patriots players as well. I hit on a Khalil and Chason prop a few weeks ago too, because those guys can also bring a lot of heat. And the Super Bowl is one of those games where everything's on the line. You're going to have quarterbacks, you know, when they're down, when they're trying to make big plays, just sitting in the pocket and, you know, trying to make those big plays. And a lot of those sacks can happen, especially when you're in a deficit or trailing and trying to make big plays happen. So, you know, sack props on either side are great in the spot. Another thing I really like too is because both of these teams have been phenomenal against the run. And, you know, looking at some of the under rushing props out there, you know, Kenneth Walker, I think his number opened at like 76.5, 77.5. It's bet down to about 72.5 at a lot of books. So a lot of money coming in on the under there. And, he's going up against a really strong Patriots run defense. They haven't allowed a single running back to gain 30 yards against them in their last, 5 games. And you're looking at, a Seahawks offense that if they can't get the ball moving on the ground, they will pass it through the air. So nice reasons to like the under there. Also, maybe the under on the Patriots running backs, because certainly haven't been impressed with Ramondre Stevenson in the, against the Broncos. I think he had something like 20 some carries, but he only had like 70 yards, had a hard time finding room. And I do think they're going to try to get Tre'Veon Henderson the ball a little bit more in this game. So lots of ways to kind of fade both offenses in this game, even if you're not completely sold on which side to bet.
Rohit, the quarterbacks, obviously, that's the easy layup when you're talking MVP in the game. But if you are going to, what side would you lay it on? Is it Darnold? Because obviously they're the favorite going into this ball game. But, I mean, Drake May might be a pretty good bet if you want to take the guy who's the underdog going into this game. Might be a better return on your investment here. How do you see the quarterbacks when it comes to MVP here?
The one thing is that, the regular season MVP award has pretty much become a quarterback's only award. Not necessarily quite the same in the Super Bowl. You could see guys, break through with those kind of one-game performances, grab the award. So it's not quite a shoe-in for the quarterbacks. And I think, Drake May isn't going to win this unless the Patriots win the game. So I think if you're better off just betting Patriots money line, if you think the Patriots are going to win the game, there's not a huge difference between the Patriots money line and his MVP payout. There's a lot of other guys that I think could play a big role as role players. If the Patriots were to pull off a big win, maybe some of those defenders on that team we mentioned, someone like Marcus Jones, I think, a couple of big interceptions, a pick six or something. This is a guy that could, steal the MVP award at like plus 5,000, right? We've seen those defensive players steal the award before. And, looking at the Seahawks side of things, I think you've got to look at the fact that Jackson, Smith-Njigba is arguably the best receiver in the league. And I know he's got a tough matchup against Christian Gonzalez, but he can get big yardage against pretty much anybody. And if he gets a lot of yards in this game and makes a big impact, he's certainly someone that could win MVP. And I think he's plus 400 or something like that. So really good value on getting the offensive player of the year to win Super Bowl MVP when his team is the favorite.
Speaking of Super Bowl MVP, I mean, I've been asking all day, is there a role for Cooper Kupp? I mean, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I saw the number at 29.5, where his passing number is somewhere around in that room. Is there a role for him in this game? And could you see him being a factor? He played in this game and he started in this game.
Absolutely. And you've seen that in the playoffs. He's become one of the most reliable targets for Sam Darnold, especially on third down, especially in the red zone. And I think, there's definitely value in the over receiving yards. Because like I said, I mean, Smith-Njigba does have a tough matchup on his hands against Gonzalez, but that's going to open things up for Cooper Kupp on the other side. Reliable veteran, knows what he's doing, runs really good routes. And at the same time, you've also got some really nice touchdown props on him. He's been getting a lot more red zone targets. You look at the entire season, I think he has 18 or 19 red zone targets, but 14 of those have come after the start of December. So, I mean, he's getting a ton of targets in the red zone now. And, he can reel in a touchdown catch, and you're getting that at like plus 330, the latest I saw it. So really nice value if you like Kupp to come up with those big catches.
All right, I have to ask here, is there any prop bets on Bad Bunny? I just got to go there, got to ask the question on Bad. Any props that I can lay some money on Bad Bunny?
Depends on the book that you're looking at, but I think the big one, of course, is how many, if anyone's going to join him on stage or that sort of thing. That's a pretty good one. I mean, Cardi B, I think that's going to be the number one bet one for who's going to join him on stage. But I've seen a few weird ones. How many times, if he's going to mention Trump, or how many times Trump is going to tweet at him during the game. But you got to get creative with what sports books you're looking at for those.
Absolutely. Rohit, thank you so much. That was fabulous. We appreciate you doing it. It's going to be a spectacular Super Bowl, and I believe it's going to be a great Super Bowl Sunday, and I can't wait for the halftime show. And we're going to talk to Kevin Walsh. We'll get his thoughts on Super Sunday. Yeah, right here on SportsGrid.
I know you didn't. Talk!
I'm innocent. Got the wrong guy. It wasn't me. I didn't do anything.
Okay,
Okay, it was me. I did it.
Bringing an owl to an interrogation? That's a power move.
Every time.
Yeah. Hiring America's largest injury law firm for your injury? That's also a power move. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. SportsGrid breaks it all down.
They are locks. We can capitalize. We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on SportsGrid.
How could you tell the story of baseball without Clemens, Rose, and Bonds? You don't have a Hall of Fame if you don't have those three dudes. Sills, you know what, man? These guys took steroids. There wasn't a steroid test and a PED test in Major League Baseball at the time. Do you understand this?
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie. And I deadlifted 200 kgs. So that's 440 pounds. So, yeah, so that was, I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
We have to do this because Kevin Walsh brought me on to SportsGrid at the beginning of the month. And so we have to do this from Pro Football Today, 2 to 6. Don't forget, Eastern time, you get to join him all the time here. He's with us now here. You brought me into SportsGrid. So on Super Sunday, Kev, we got to do this here, man.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing like Super Bowl Sunday, is there?
No, absolutely not. It's I feel like I haven't watched football in a year. I don't know what it is about this year's gap. I don't know if it's because the Pro Bowl was on a Tuesday, so it didn't even make a TV screen, but I am jonesing for some football. I'm very, very excited for tonight's game.
All right, who do you have in tonight's game? I mean, obviously, both teams playing with great momentum heading into this. I think if you're looking at it, really, I wonder how people will look at the AFC Championship game if Bo Nix was there. You probably are going to see the Denver Broncos would have been playing in this game this afternoon. But how do you see this football game playing out this afternoon?
Here's what's interesting, I think, at least just my perspective, is I full-heartedly believe that if Bo Nix played in that game, Denver would be in this Super Bowl. I think if Stidham cleaned up a couple of mistakes, he might be playing in this Super Bowl. And despite that, I love New England in this game. I think people have bought a little bit too much into what they have seen recently. We spent a full 17-game season, Dan, where Drake May was wildly better than Sam Darnold. And now, you put your ear to the ground. Apparently, Darnold's the guy that finished second in MVP? No! He played the game of his life. And we're like, yeah, he'll just do that again. Oh, okay. So Darnold's the best quarterback in the world. I must have missed that signal. I think that Drake May is the better quarterback. I think Mike Vrabel might just be the better coach. I'm now getting at some of these books, Dan, 5.5? You know this. Recent Super Bowl history. Close spreads, close games. I know. Back in the 90s, every year, the NFC showed up. Dallas, San Fran, they slaughtered these teams. It's 2026. It's a different league. These are two 14-win teams, not one. I think New England is being too much pushed to the side here.
So you're looking at, what people have been saying to you about, New England and their defense and their offensive line. that you think that they've been kind of dismissed in this ball game. And I'll throw this at you too, Kev. To me, the last two defenses that Drake May has played, I mean, look at who they've played. They played the Texans, who were one of the greatest defenses I've seen in the last 5 years. And then you also took on that Bronco defense. Don't you think that that's prepped him more? I know he was at, what was it, 55.8 completion percentage. But when you play against defenses like that, I don't care if you're Dan Marino, you're not going to complete passes against defenses like that. So do you think he's been prepped for this game a little better than maybe what, say, Darnold has been?
What? 100%. Because let's also remember, this is a guy who has, under 30 NFL starts under his belt. So all of them matter so much. Add in a bye week for him just to take in all that extra information. And it's not to be dismissive of the Seattle defense, but it's a defense that's better against the run than the pass, where I think Denver and Houston are better against the pass than the run. So that could be a little bit easier. And it's a Seahawks defense that played the Rams 3 times, and in 2 of the games, Stafford just carved them up the whole game. Drake May was this close to beating Stafford for league MVP. I know, man, if Drake May's name was Josh Allen, we'd think Josh Allen was going to go for 300 total yards and 3 touchdowns. We wouldn't think twice about it. Josh is better than Drake, but not to the point where people have Drake May thrown for $120 in this game, Dan. It's crazy.
I get it, man. Hey, what are some of your favorite props in this game? What do you like? What are you going to put your ducks on in this thing?
So I did take Drake May to throw over 1.5 passing touchdowns at, I think it's like plus 130, plus 115. May didn't throw any against Denver. The few times that happened in the regular season, that follow-up game, he threw multiple touchdowns. It's also just where Seattle gives up their touchdowns. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, a little bit more even, of passing to rushing allowed. On the Seattle side, I like Shaheed over 4.5 rushing yards. He has more carries, Dan, in the postseason than receptions. I know he's a wide receiver. He's a gadget player, right? He's a punt returner. It's a little Devin Hester-y, right? So over 4.5 rushing yards for a guy who averages around 10 yards a rush, who I think gets at least 1 carry, to me is a really good number. It's a little more expensive, but over 6.5 total Patriots to record a reception, I absolutely love. In simplest terms, I think it should be 7.5. They played 20 games this season, including the playoffs. In 16 of them, at least 7 players have caught a ball for the New England Patriots. I think this is off by a full man, if you will. So minus 174, minus 180 doesn't scare me off.
Okay, coaching in this game. I've been bringing this up with everyone, Kevin, and that is you look at the defensive guys in this game, Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel. Then you look at the coordinators in this game. Clint Kubiak and Josh McDaniels, who just won the Assistant Coach of the Year award. I mean, who do you think has the advantage in this ball game?
Yeah, it's a tough call because I do have respect for each of these coaching staffs. I'm so excited to see what Kubiak's going to be able to do with, we assume, Mendoza in Vegas. They haven't obviously made the pick yet, but we know that's where Clint Kubiak's going to go. The one thing for me with Vrabel, Dan, is he was perfect off of bye week in his coaching career until they lost this year against Buffalo at home. But they were also up 21-0 in that game and lost it by 4. So I have a decent sample from Vrabel's time going back to Tennessee that if you give him extra time to prepare, it's going to make a difference. I think there is value in the youth, because I'll call Vrabel younger, with New England than people realize. When Mahomes is in a Super Bowl, it's like, well, he's going to be God, right? When Andy Reid's in a Super Bowl, it's like, oh my gosh, extra time to prepare. It sounds silly, but it's like an investment. It's like we're getting in on the ground floor of this Patriots team. And in 2 years' time, every time Vrabel's off a bye, you're going to hear, he's 8-1 off a bye. You'll never be able to unhear the statistics.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, Pro Football Today, what do you got coming up on the program?
Yeah, man, we're really excited. It's myself, it's Joe Lisi. We have been covering this game all week, but now we get to just put all of these picks on the board that we have for these games. And I will say this, my bets are, minus 174. Lacey's card doesn't start until it's about plus 200, right? He's been beating my ear down all week about Kyle Williams, so we got a lot of good stuff coming up, Dan.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate you. My final thought next, right here on.
He completed a pool bank shot at just 2 years and 302 days. His achievements make him one of the youngest double record holders ever. So let me summarize this for you without reading. He's 2 years old, and he's really good at pool. I mean, that is crazy. 2 years old! How is he doing this? I have no idea. So I guess we got to start training our youngsters to play pool. Okay, fair enough.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo, only on SportsGrid.
Gosh, I really do like the storylines with these open field events. Like I want us to expand these signature events to bigger fields because I really do like the Joel Damon story, the Andrew Putnam story. It's part of the PGA Tour and what makes it so good. So I don't know where they're going to eventually end up on all of this.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on Kraft.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Super Sunday, that's all we've been saying this weekend. It is here. This is where legacies are made. This is where failure is magnified. Some of the greatest names in the history of pro football in all of sports will make their legacies today. Think about some of the greatest names that pro football has ever produced. Guys like Warren Moon, people that have never got to the game. People who were legendary players. How about how you look at players like Jim Kelly, or you look at guys like Dan Marino? They never won the brass slipper. They never won the Super Bowl. That has always been a stigma on those guys' resumes on never getting through the finish line. How many times do you hear people talking about the greatest players never to have ever won the Super Bowl or ever won a championship like a Charles Barkley? This is where these great legacies are made in games like this. I've told you guys numerous times, you make your money in the NFL during the regular season. Your legacy is made in the postseason, and it is made in games like this. You know, when you look at guys like Joe Montana, who I had the privilege of playing against, one of the greatest football players in the history of the National Football League, Joe Cool, getting into those games, Joe Montana, 135 quarterback rating, no interceptions, 12 touchdowns in those games, and 4 legendary performances. That put Joe Montana on the upper shelf of one of the greatest players of all time and one of the greatest athletes in American sports. Look at Tom Brady and what he's accomplished. 35 postseason victories. I believe the record is like 35-16, 7 Super Bowl championships, 10 appearances. These are guys that are in the same light of, say, a Bill Russell, the greatest champions in sports. You know, it's one thing to be said about being the greatest athlete of all time. Are you the greatest athlete of all time with the greatest collection of hardware of all time, like Russell, like Brady, like Tiger Woods, like Jack Nicklaus? These are the people we remember the most. Super Bowl Sunday, we're going to see somebody hoisting that Vince Lombardi trophy. Somebody is going to come out of this game. It's going to change their entire life. and it's going to change how we see them. You know, the story that I've been saying with Sam Darnold all week long and really for the entire month, I think this is exactly the story that in our time right now in America, this is when you have somebody that can be an example of how you don't quit. Can you imagine today if Sam Darnold changes his legacy and puts him in the same position as a Super Bowl champion quarterback? How that'll change the narrative. People in New York must be sitting there with the Jet fans going like this. Can you believe it? Sam Darnold is 60 minutes away from rewriting his legacy, all based on one football game. Here he is. Then you got Drake May, the young quarterback. Many people liked him coming out of North Carolina, but here he is just in his second season as the starting quarterback. Are you starting to see maybe the beginning of another dynasty in New England? And it could be with Drake May here. I mean, folks, these two quarterbacks plus other players in the game, JSN, how will he change his legacy? Do you start to think that maybe he becomes the best wide receiver in the NFL? Chase and Jefferson, all those guys have, solidified their position in the NFL. You win a Super Bowl most valuable player. Incredible. How about Cooper Kupp? This is another opportunity for Cooper Kupp to really put another statement in his resume. Cooper Kupp wins another Super Bowl with all the legendary records that he has accomplished when he was with the Rams and now being a type of role player now with the Seahawks. Can you imagine him getting another Super Bowl ring? Remember, folks, Terrell Owens and Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl. This guy could have 2 Super Bowl rings and a Super Bowl MVP. This is how you punch your ticket to Canton. This is how legacies are made. And like I say, failure is magnified. Every time I speak to Jim Kelly, and I love Jim Kelly, people look at Jim Kelly as a 4-time Super Bowl loser. I always introduce Jim as a 4-time AFC champion, but people will always look at the people at the end of the day who end up hoisting that Lombardi trophy and changing their legacy forever. Make no mistake about it. I can't wait. I got 28-21. I've got the Seahawks winning this game. Don't forget today also Pro Football Today, 2 to 6 with Kevin Walker, Joe Lisi, and also in-game live from 6 to 11 with Scott Wetzel and Mike Blewett. Can't wait to see what goes on. We got you covered wall to wall here on Super Bowl Sunday in what is Americana and what is the best line in all of sports. You know what that is? Super Bowl Sunday, where America gets to come together and watch one of the greatest sporting events our country puts on each and every single year in Santa Clara. Great Super Bowl 60. We will see you next week, and we'll catch you on the flip side. How about selling it to a minority ownership group that could show the NFL is moving in the right direction? Hey, it's one thing to talk about black coaches in the National Football League. It's one thing to talk about black general managers. It's another thing to start talking about a minority owner owning the football team.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Peterson right now is minus 300 to be the top pick in the NBA draft. And anybody that saw the game on Saturday, you saw his vicious dunk, and you saw his explosiveness, and he hung 18 points up on the board in the first half, right? What did he do in the second half? Ask Bill Self. Why did he come out of the game? What did Bill Self say? I don't know. Ask him. This is where we're at right now.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Heads or tails? Over or under? Seahawks, Patriots. Don't stress. SportsGrid breaks it all down.
They are locks.
We can capitalize. We're going to see a ton of over money.
Props, expert guests, and smart insight leading up to the big game.
Oh my God, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl.
Only on